Good morning, viewers and listeners. We are live. This is the NFL Draft Bible Tailgate Show, partnered with Fan Nation, powered by Sports Illustrated. I am here with my esteemed panel, dripping with talent. I am your host, Big Law, Lawrence Johnson, and I'm here with our senior scout, Lorenz Lineweaver, also scouting coordinator, Alec Slick Polito. We also have my man, Hunter Pitcock, Wonder Boy. Then, of course, we got Face, the man, Kelly Garrison, the quarterback of the crew. How you doing today, Lorenz? What's going on, man? How you feeling? I mean,
I'm feeling good. We got the game, or is it the game? Is it the game? I
The
know it's the
game.
Ohio
The
State.
game.
I know it's the Ohio State University taking on the Michigan Wolverines just in just about 2 hours. I mean, honestly, probably the biggest regular season game. Dare I say, every season, anyways, the biggest rivalry in college football, in my opinion. And man, I'm fired up for it because I think this is going to be a really good game. I know we'll get into it more, but really excited about that. Big Law, how are you, man?
Doing pretty good, man. I mean, it's a rivalry week, which, pretty much is what y'all wait for. Like I said, it's always bittersweet. It's the end of the year, but this is one of the weeks that you wait for towards the end of the year. Of course, this is our episode 13. The date is November 27, 2021. And as you guys can see, we're ready to rock and roll. Alec Polito, how are you doing this Saturday on rivalry week?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Definitely excited. We got a ton of important games today, not just, there's games that will decide who we're going to be talking about next week, because some of these games may set up the conference championship. Some of them might be repeats next week. We might have to talk about the game again, but I am excited to talk about it, and I'm ready to go.
Yes, we all are as well. My man Hunter Pitcock, what's going on, Mr. Wonder Boy? Talk to me. Who has all of the insights on all kinds of things that you don't even understand, or things you might not even know. He'll find it out. He's under. He's in the sewer. He's finding all. He's looking for all kinds of tips and clues. My man Pitcock is doing his job. He's on the scene. What's going on, Hunter?
Oh man, obviously, big rivalry weekend, of course, in college football. Love to see it. Some big matchups today. A lot of these teams always get these interesting trophies, but none might be uglier than the land grab trophy. I don't know if you've seen this before. This is the winner of the Penn State-Michigan State game. They fight for this trophy every single year. This might be the ugliest trophy I've seen in my life. I don't know. It seems like a 12-year-old put it together with like super glue or something, but that's the spirit of college football, I guess, right?
Yeah, holy wood. That was just it's a lot of wood. It's not enough. Speaking of trophy, I'm actually going to be in Charlottesville, and I'm giving out my Tailgate championship trophy, which I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it online. Nice and shiny orange. And when I just saw yours, I was like, good God, that's only a bunch of wood. It's very brown. But it's always a great game to check them out, because they always put on a show for us. And now I'm coming to the man, Face Garenstein. What's going on, Kellen? Talk to us. Well, how do you feel about this week?
It's a big day for a lot of people that I'm around. Big day for a lot of people I know, man. That's 364 days a year. You're thinking about this one day, and it's finally here. That is Ohio State versus the University of Michigan, which I guess I'll say to show I'm not super biased, but everyone knows I'm rolling with the Buckeyes. It's that team up north. Any other time I'm not on the tailgate show, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great day of games.
I'm telling you, man, a lot at stake for that game as well. And as always, this was a holiday as well, with Thanksgiving just finishing up for us as well. And before we jump into games, I got to get with you guys and ask you, what is your favorite meal or your favorite entree for Thanksgiving? I'm starting with you, Polito, my man up in the north. Talk to me. What is your favorite meal for Thanksgiving, or your favorite entree or dessert?
I better not catch any slack for this, but it's got to be the green bean casserole. It's every year I'm going up for seconds and thirds on that. It's got to be.
I'm with you on that.
I hold on.
Yeah, it's so underrated.
Kellen, I got to come to you. You started laughing first. Kellen, all right, top Thanksgiving meal or entree or dessert?
Listen, my mom always said, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. So, Alec, I'm gonna just let you have that one. My macaroni and cheese is always the goat of Thanksgiving. Lorenz hasn't experienced Thanksgiving yet. When he does come to the States, eventually he has it at my house. He'll understand what I'm talking about. Mac and cheese is the main part of the meal.
Ain't no doubt about it. We have to introduce him to some soul food. My man, pick off.
I've had Thanksgiving once.
Once, Hunter, talk to me.
Yeah.
What is your entree? What your dessert?
Oh man, I'm gonna go with a hot take here. I take apple pie over pumpkin pie personally. I know pecan pie is also, I guess, in that conversation, but when all the pies come for dessert, I think I'm gonna roll with apple here. That's what I did on Thursday, so I'm gonna stick with apple pie.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I guess it wasn't a hot take.
Accurate.
All right,
Yeah,
I usually take slack for that.
We got to do a Thanksgiving bracket here.
Yeah.
Lorenz, talk to me now. For you, what is your favorite when it comes to Thanksgiving type meals or holidays that you guys would celebrate similar to Thanksgiving?
I got to be honest, the one time I experienced Thanksgiving over in the United States, I was at Myrtle Beach, and I just ate and ate and ate, and it was so much. And then they were like, oh, yeah, now we're also going to have pie. So I couldn't even eat any more of the pie, but I had some next day. But I couldn't really tell you. I mean, all of it was good. I do like the mac and cheese. Is St. Turkey, is that boring? I don't know. I can't really remember. You know, Kellen has to invite me over, and then I'll give you more accurate. This was like 5-6 years ago.
Well,
I remember it was good, and it was a lot.
What do you expect from a German man? He's a meat guy. So, yes, turkey for Lorenz. And for me, you know, it's undisputed. I'm going to call it the cake of meats, and it's ham. Ham is the cake of meats.
Ham's
so
pretty
I got to go with the ham. And if I had
I'd go with ham over turkey. I would rather that. But
you might be right. I kind of forgot about the ham.
You have to do turkey on Thanksgiving, but I'd rather ham.
Yep, and if I had to say a dessert, it would be sweet potato pie. That's definitely very Southern. So now that we got all the important news out of the way, let's talk about some football. So as the week goes on, of course, this was a holiday week, and almost more than half of the schedule for college football games were played between Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So, guys, right off the bat, I'm looking for helmet stickers. I'm going to come to you first, Hunter. Give me your helmet sticker for the week.
Yeah, it was a tough one deciding this one because there's so many great games, particularly yesterday and just throughout the week. But one game that was crazy was the UNC-NC State game, rivalry game, if you will, sort of. The Wolfpack were down 31-20. And then in 26 seconds, they scored 2 touchdowns that included an onside recovery. But I couldn't really pick one player, but I'll stick with one here. I'll go to the defensive side. Daniel Joseph, defensive lineman. The Wolfpack low-key got a great lineage of guys on the front four that translate to the NFL. He might be as well. He had a phenomenal game, 10 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and 1.5 tackles for loss as well. A couple QB hurries, too. He really made it hard for Sam Howell to make plays out there, especially late in the game. And there was a big reason. Although the offense was the one who scored the points, the defense put them in the position to eventually win that game.
Very good, man. Speaking of a lineage of defensive tackles, shout out to Aleem McNeil, who was a very talented guy who came out of NC State last year. Coming to you, my man, Slick Polito. Talk to me. Who gets your helmet sticker for this week?
Yeah, so last week I gave it to the Western Michigan wide receiver Sky Moore, who had a phenomenal week, and then he comes back this week and he's like, "No, I'll do even better." But I'm going to give it to his quarterback too, Caleb Ellaby, goes 21 of 26, 338 yards, 5 touchdowns, and Sky Moore has 12 receptions, 206 yards, and 4 of those touchdowns. So it just did it all themselves.
That's amazing. Crazy stats, end of the year. That's what you want. Do they have any eligibility left?
Both. Yeah. I think
goodness.
Moore is a true sophomore, and then Caleb Ellaby. Redshirt. Sky Moore is, or Caleb Ellaby?
Sky Moore is I think, is a redshirt sophomore, and Caleb Ellaby's a redshirt junior.
Yeah. And I'm coming to you, Kellen. Who gets your helmet sticker for this week's games?
I'm going Cincinnati Bearcats special teams. 3 blocked kicks, one of them resulting in basically the game-sealing touchdown. I believe they were up 21-6. And ECU was going for a field goal with like 11 minutes left on the goal line, which made no sense to me anyway. And they got punished for it as well as they should. That was a dumb coaching decision. That was a dumb move. Cincinnati made them pay, and they blocked 2 kicks earlier. They blocked the punt, they blocked the field goal, and then the last one resulted in a block scoop and score. So they get my helmet sticker. Their defense was good. Desmond Ridder was good. Everyone was good. But that special teams, those plays made were huge.
And Sauce, what's his last name there?
Gardner.
Sauce
He
Gardner.
was the one that scooped and scored it. Yeah.
Top corners coming out. I'll be very interested to hear what your analysis is of him. When the time comes, Lorenz coming to you. So who gets your helmet sticker?
Yeah, watching the Egg Bowl, I wanted to go with a player from that game, but honestly, or with the Ole Miss player. But I think it's just fair. Every time I watch Ole Miss, I'm really most impressed, especially on their offense with their play design and how well they create space, they create throwing lanes, they create windows and things like that. So I'm giving out a visor sticker to Lane Kiffin, the head coach. They finished the season 10-2 with the Egg Bowl victory. Crazy season for Lane. I mean, I know they still got the bowl game left, but he gets, he got mustard tossed at him and whatnot. But no, in all honesty, I mean, they're really on the map, and I think Ole Miss for a team that, especially up front, in my opinion, that offensive line isn't really or was really outmatched against a lot of SEC teams. I thought they did a great job pulling out the 10-2 season, and if he stays there, I think they're going to continue to build a team that's eventually going to challenge Alabama.
Well, you think about their defense, which was horrendous, for years and years and years. Always could put the ball up in the air, put points up, but their defense played out. Whenever you get that kind of a production out of your defense, combine that with the offense, the defense just has to be steady. They don't have to be spectacular, and they won a lot of games behind the good quarterback or the great quarterback, and then the good or the steady defense. So go ahead.
I was just gonna say they did a great job team building wise on defense. Got a lot of JUCO guys, and those guys really playing well, especially on that defensive line.
I agree, man. I agree, and I can tell you, speaking of coaches staying, how about James Franklin getting an extension? Which was really eye-opening for me. And then you had another coach.
Dave Aranda, he got an extension, didn't he?
Well deserved on that one.
Baylor.
But there was another coach who was on the hot seat who actually got an extension as well, which surprised me. But go ahead, Alec.
No, it's just it was crazy to see those extensions come through, but it made a little bit of sense, giving them some guaranteed money down the line where – now you might lose them to Florida. Just lost their coach now too, and we were talking about 2 top 5 programs. This is probably 3 top 10 programs now, with Florida being available. That big time SEC job, got a lot of young recruits coming out of Florida every single year. It's an easy recruiting job. You got
LSU.
They're in your backyard, and LSU and USC being the other 2 there. I think that's why a ton of programs are opening up the banks for their coaches and saying, hey, we'll give you this money down the line, give you this security down the line. Don't leave. And Dave Aranda was probably top of many lists for those, or at least those 3 jobs. He had to be close to the top. And now you're talking about Baylor just opening the trucks for him. It makes sense.
Absolutely. It was just his time. Wake Forest, Clawson signs for an extension as well. Hugh Freeze, that's who the other guy was at Liberty. Lands
Hugh Freeze got an extension
as well. Yes, he got an extension at Liberty, which I was thinking, he's kind of hot right now. I was thinking that he would definitely be in an SEC coach through 2028. He's locked up at Liberty. So yeah, exactly. These coaches, they're like you said, they're opening up those the Brinks trucks and saying, look, guys, just stay. They're very threatened by the USC, Florida, and the and LSU job openings. So Great job by those ADs and those administrators at the colleges for locking down some good coaches. But my helmet sticker goes to, I'm going to follow Hunter, is my guy Omeka Emezi, a very good wide receiver who has been putting up numbers. And I think he just goes under the radar. Big athletic receiver in the same mold as what NC State puts in the league, those kind of athletic big guys, receivers who can make plays. And he had, like Hunter said, 26 seconds. They scored 2 touchdowns. He wound up finishing with 5 receptions for 112 yards. My helmet sticker goes to Emeka Emezi for the upset over the UNC Tar Heels. And pretty much,
and guess who's got a scouting report on him?
Who has a scouting report?
We do at the NFL Draft Bible. I know because I wrote it.
There we go. Absolutely. On who? On
Emeka Emezi.
Okay.
Got my report out on him. Yep.
Very good. And we're looking forward to hearing that. So we're coming right back to you, Kellen. We have the huge game today. We got Ohio State going against Michigan at noon. Yeah, starting it off with a bang early right now. Shotgun start at noon on Fox. Ohio State is just a 7-point favorite. I would take that all day, man. That is a bet to take because Ohio State's been on fire with their offense and defense is trying to come around. But Kellen, give me your preview of this game.
Yeah, it's a game I'm always nervous for, right? Because it just rivalry week is like that. It's weird. College football is weird. Things happen that you don't see coming. So, I think Ohio State wins the game. I think they're the better football team. But there are places where they're going to be challenged. They've never been challenged before. Michigan has 2 guys coming off the edge that are fantastic football players. Daxton Hill is a stud. They're one of the best rush defenses in the Big Ten, I believe. And their pass defense isn't bad either. Now, they're going to be a lot better than Michigan State was. Michigan State was just an awful matchup for Ohio State. But I don't think much more has to be said about the game. I mean, a top 5 matchup, the history, the blood is there. Everyone in Ohio always talks about this is a rivalry rooted in war. The Battle of Toledo. Now, that war was bloodless. I think only like one person caught like a bullet to the thigh and no one else got hurt. So I don't know how big it really was. But, it's a rivalry rooted in war. These teams hate each other. The fans hate each other. There's just a bunch, we call them that team up north. They call us Ohio. Nobody likes it. As far as the football goes, I mean, like I said, I don't know what needs to be said more than what has already been said the entire season. I think Michigan is starting to take it a little bit more serious, more so than just another game. I think they're starting to catch on that Ohio State wins this game because it's circled on their schedule. Like I said, 364 days a year, they're looking for it. They're counting down every Friday in the weight room. They're saying it's blank amount of days till the game, till we're getting ready for the boys up north. I think Michigan's starting to catch on to that. I think they're starting to realize, okay, we aren't winning this because we aren't taking it serious. So this year, I don't know if you're going to see the lopsided games that you've seen in the last couple of years, but I do think Ohio State wins. But I still think it'll be a really good football game.
I mean, can Jim Harbaugh do it? Can
Lorenzo
he do it?
will tell you yes, but I don't know about that.
I don't know, man. Can he really do it? Because it's a difficult task, and he just hasn't won. I don't think he's ever won. Lorenz, fill me in on some of this. I mean, has he ever won?
No, he has not won. That's been sort of the big one. I mean, he has been able to get over that hump. Obviously, has been okay, I think, as a coach there, but he was obviously brought in to unseat Ohio State from the top spot in the Big Ten, and he hasn't been able to accomplish that. But I think he's got the best football team that he's had. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. During his time there at Michigan, I think the early years they had a similar type of a similarly great defense that he's having now. And I do think they match up much better with Ohio State than Michigan State did because of that defense, because of that pass rush that's going to be getting to C.J. Stroud, because of their ability to limit the run game. And I just think what I worry about at the end of the day is that I just don't think Michigan's passing attack is explosive enough. And I just don't think they're going to be able to put up the points at the end of the day and get the explosive play here and there that you're going to need in this type of rivalry game when you're a 7-point underdog to end up pulling it off. But I do expect this to be a lot closer than the Michigan State game. And, it's going to be some good film on both sides. I mean, Ohio State offense versus that defense, that's going to be a
That's
film
the
that's
first
going to
tape
be
you pop
watched
in.
100 or thousands of times across NFL front offices and I don't know, draft Bible scouting staffs and whatnot. I mean, that's going to be incredible.
Polito, talk to me. What do you think about this game? Big game.
Yeah, I think first of all, this Ohio State team is so good. They are fun to watch, and credit is due to CJ Stroud and what he has done this year. It's not just the statistics. You watch the way he commands that offense. It is really beautiful to watch, considering you went from Justin Fields to CJ Stroud, who is finding himself in that conversation for QB1 next year. And the only way Michigan's going to win this game, and I'm not saying that they can't, but the only way they're going to win this game is they're going to have to make him uncomfortable every play. They are going to need Aiden Hutchinson and the name's eluding me, the other edge rusher, Ojabo. Yeah.
Ojabo.
They're going to need them in the backfield the entire game, and they're going to have to slow down the game their running attack. Like Lorenz said, there is not enough of a passing attack for this Michigan team to attack the same way that Ohio State does. You're not going to compete with them playing the same game. So they're going to have to run the ball, slow the game down, and capitalize on every mistake that Ohio State makes. It's the only way they're winning this game. I also might have to put some tweet notifications on for during this game because I think I'm going to be more focused on is him talking about the game than the actual game. But I'm excited for this one for sure.
Let me come to my Big Ten guy, Hunter. Talk to me about this game. What is your idea, and what do you think what's gonna happen with this game?
Yeah, I think if Michigan's going to somehow win this, I know Alex saying like they're not as explosive as Ohio State. I think they're going to have to be, though, to some capacity. They're going to have to strike when the iron's hot, whether it's Cornelius Johnson, who's probably the top wideout on the team, has to make plays. Eric Hall, who's a really good tight end as well. Getting Hassan Haskins going in the run game is going to be huge, and if he can burst off a couple to complement like Travion Henderson on the other side of the field, they're gonna need something. They're gonna have to strike lightning in a bottle here. Michigan's gonna have to play A-level football. Ohio State can play B-level football and probably win this game by double digits. Michigan has to be on their A game in order to win. It is at home in the big house, so that's definitely helps, but they're a very talented team. Michigan perhaps is a Rose Bowl caliber team, but I'm not sure that they're going to beat Ohio State. And like we talked about, Harbaugh is still yet to beat the Buckeyes in his career, which is ridiculous when you think about it.
What a great life win.
Up in Ann Arbor too. Sorry, Big Law. I think it's snowing up in Ann Arbor, which favors Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you get the ground and pound. Also, what a consolation prize. Oh, you just go to the Rose Bowl. You lose the game, you go to the Rose Bowl. But that's that's Michigan's life. For the past so many years. Being that with Harbaugh there, not being able to win the big one. But we'll look forward to it. It's a noon shotgun start on Fox. Check it out. Next game we got here is a big one. Well, not necessarily a big one like it usually is. It's actually kind of melodramatic. We have the Iron Bowl with Alabama going against Auburn at 3:30 p.m. on CBS. Alabama is a 20.5-point favorite. Woo, that's a lot in a rivalry game. My man Lorenz, talk to me about this game. What is your preview for this game?
Real quick before we get into it, I realize I haven't taken my victory lap yet for calling the Oregon upset last week against Utah, but this is now my way of doing it. But let me get to the game here. Iron Bowl, yeah, it's what's that?
I said bad voodoo's gone for you with these picks.
There you go. I mean, I was terrible for a stretch there with my picks, but glad I came back around. But we just had the awesome rant from Nick Saban talking about fans that didn't appreciate Alabama winning these games and that they had to blow everybody off. I think a great reminder that it's really hard and really difficult to win football games. So I just wanted to bring that back up. But Alabama, their running back, Brian Robinson, he's closing in on a 1,000-yard season. He's at 945. He's run behind Evan Neal. I talked a little bit about that offensive line maybe not being as strong as it was in the past years. Still a good line, but it's not that elite kind of unit, for example, that it was last year when they went on that massive run. And I do think one of the really fun matchups is going to be Auburn edge rusher Derek Hall versus Evan Neal. He's going to be seeing a lot of him. I think Derek Hall, he's a true junior, someone who came to school at 220. He's now at 250. Former hurdler, if I'm not mistaken. Really long, athletic, bendy kind of rusher. Still getting his eye, or still developing his hands, developing his pass rush. But he's someone who's got a lot of NFL traits, and doesn't sound like he's coming out this year, but is going to be a name to keep in mind for next year. And this is going to be a great game to go into over the summer to watch how he's doing against Evan Neal, who's probably going to be the first tackle off the board. But another matchup that's also going to be game deciding, if Alabama can't get Brian Robinson those 1,000 yards today, if they do struggle with the run game again, like they did, for example, against LSU, star wideouts Jamison Williams and John Mechie III have got to get open and have got to create explosive plays against Auburn corners Roger McCreary and Nehemiah Pritchett, who are both NFL players in their own right. I do see Alabama having the advantage there because John Mechie is so good. Every time I watch this guy, he has no holes to me except that he's 5'11" and 200 pounds. So he's not 6'5", 250, right? Or he doesn't look like DK Metcalf. Outside of that, he's such a good route runner. He's got great hands. He can get open. He can do it after the catch. He blocks. Just a really, really good player. And then Jamison Williams, he's speed. 4.3s kind of guy, and it's going to be a big test for these corners. And they really got to step up. And on the defensive side for Alabama, if they do want to cover those, what did you say, 20.5 points? They do got to stop the run game. Tank Bigsby is another name that's going to be coming up next year, the sophomore running back. When he gets going, he's tough to stop. Linebackers Christian Harris and Henry Toto are going to have their hands full. And these are two guys that have struggled tackling this season. I think Harris has, in particular, had, dare I say, a bad season, not just with tackling. Toto has had a good season, but at times he can struggle with tackling. So that might be something where that Auburn can exploit. But at the end of the day, Alabama's going to win this football game. I don't know if they can do it by 20.5 points, though, because I do think on a good day, this offense, Bo Nix, Tank Bigsby, if they do get hot, if Nix can make a couple plays off script, they can put some points on the board. So let me say Alabama wins, but it's going to be by 17.
Compared to the receivers that came off Alabama last year, put them in the first round, guys. Compared to Mechie, 1, 2, and 3. Give me that analysis quickly.
Well, to me, both these guys last year were top 10 players. Devonta Smith was one of my favorite players in the draft, so I'd put him one narrowly over Waddle, which is how I ranked him in the draft. I do think Mechie is probably the third of that bunch. It's just that I thought with Devonta Smith, he does a little bit more at the catch point with that length that he does have. He's just a special route runner. I would say Mechie is a very good route runner. Devonta is a great route runner. I would say Mechie has good speed. A guy like Waddle had excellent speed, right? So there's a subtle differences where these guys just have more traits. But I still really like John Mechie because he's, to me, as complete as they come because he's got few holes. He can do a lot of things, and I think he's going to be a really good NFL wide receiver.
Great analysis on that. Now, Alec Polito, talk to me. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I don't think that there's too much to add just because I do think Bama does roll in this one. I am excited for that matchup between Evan Neal and the name that Lorenz said that now
Derek Hall.
I'm excited for that matchup, and Bryce Young, just seeing him go against another defense here in the SEC and see he can continue his Heisman candidacy, I guess, this year. But I do think Alabama wins this game fairly easily.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. You guys in the bottom want to add anything? Hunter or
yeah, sure. I'll just say that if you're Bama, I know Nick Saban was like catching slack because he wasn't beating teams like as dominant as he's been. So I don't know, maybe that's an extra chip of motivation. Crimson Tide, they just need to make sure that they're not looking ahead because obviously they got the big matchup with Georgia coming up. That's going to be the one that's really going to determine their season. So with Auburn, just handle your business. And I think it's like. Lorenz and Alec have been saying there's a lot of great players on both sides of the ball here from a scouting perspective.
Well, I'm definitely going to try to watch as much as I can while I'm. Well, actually, I may be on the way back from the game, but I will be keeping an eye on these games as rivalry week goes and continues to move through. So, coming back to you,
I'll say some
go ahead.
real
Go ahead.
quick.
Uh
Sorry,
huh.
Big Long, but Nick Saban is far from perfect going to Jordan-Hare Stadium. He's lost the last two, I think, in 17 and 19, I want to say. One of them was the struggling Jalen Hurts year, and then the Mac Jones, the crazy game that Auburn won. So not saying that Auburn's team is as talented as those two, because I don't think they are. They're not as good. But I mean, it's like I said, college football is a weird place around rivalry week, and Jordan-Hare Stadium is a weird place for the Crimson Tide to play in. So I don't think Auburn wins, but I do think that the game is closer than a lot of people are giving it credit for.
When you're in the South, you got, witch doctors and boogeymen and all kinds of things going on down there. So that's definitely a house of horrors for Bama. And like I said, we will all be watching that and have our eyes on that game. So coming to the next game, my man, Alec Toledo, we have Oklahoma State against Oklahoma. And Oklahoma State is a 4.5-point favorite. Games at 7:30 as well on ABC. Woo! Give me your preview on this game, man.
Yeah, I mean, we got this game will decide the championship. Basically, I believe it's if Oklahoma State is in regardless. But if Oklahoma is to win this game, then it'll be Oklahoma State versus Oklahoma again. If Oklahoma State wins today, then it'll be Baylor versus Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship. Both of these teams have an outside chance of getting to the college football playoff, and really what they have to do is win this week and win next week. And they've done all they can. If you think about this Oklahoma team, this is a one-loss Oklahoma team to the number 8 team in the country, Baylor. That's not a joke of a loss. Or I think they might be number 12 actually now. But that's not a joke of a loss. And then talk about number 7 Oklahoma. I think their one loss was during the season to Texas Tech, I believe. So it's not like they've lost bad matchups here. Now, going at rivalry week here, this is a one-sided rivalry. Oklahoma, I think, has like an 85% win percentage against Oklahoma State. That's great. And
Yeah, Peyton.
yeah, and not one show can I just have nice and quiet. It's but
It's just not a lawnmower.
that's true. That is true. But yeah, I mean, we talk about this game, right? The big thing is this Oklahoma State defense against this Oklahoma offense. That's going to be the major storyline. You got Lincoln Riley, one of the most phenomenal play callers in college football, going against Jim Knowles, who has built a great program there on that, especially in that defensive side. He's the defensive coach there. They have a ton of players on this defensive side, including the Big 12 leader in tackles, Malcolm Rodriguez, or leader in tackle per game, and Colby Harville-Peel as the safety back there, who's also had a fantastic season. Caleb Williams is going to have to play a great game here. This offense has struggled the last couple weeks. Caleb Williams, Marvin Mims, and Kennedy Brooks it's going to be key for them to get going. This defense is known for confusing quarterbacks, and who better to confuse than an 18-year-old freshman that didn't even come into the year starting. Now, I know that Caleb Williams is a phenomenal talent, but I can't imagine at 18 years old being on this stage and going against a smart defensive coordinator like that. And I can't imagine that being his dream scenario. But this is where the big-time players make their name. When Oklahoma State has the ball, Spencer Sanders is on the opposite side of the spectrum. I believe he is a senior there. He's been there for a while. And he's going to be going against this defense, who's also not really a joke either. They've got Isaiah Thomas, the defensive end, Perion Winfrey, the nose tackle that is going to have to stop Jalen Warren, who's had a phenomenal year, Nick Benito off the edge. And if they get past there, get to that second and third level, Delarian Turner-Yell has had another really good year for this, adding to this phenomenal safety class that we got. Spencer Sanders is going to look to get the ball to his favorite target right now, which is Tay Martin, the wide receiver. This game could go. It's all about matchups. I think that Oklahoma's defense can take advantage of certain situations. I think that their pass rush can get to Spencer Sanders, and someone who has been a little erratic in his career. they can potentially affect the game there. I think that this Oklahoma State defense can get to Caleb Williams by confusing him, and he's been a little erratic at times throwing the ball around. So I think that this game it's all about who takes care of business in the matchups that they have to take advantage of. I think Oklahoma State wins here. I think that they go to the Big 12 championship, win there, and you're looking at if a couple of teams slip, I think that this team is a better option for the college football playoff than a Notre Dame. So they could potentially find themselves in that conversation for the 4 seed in the college football playoff.
What about Cincinnati? You think they're a better option than Cincinnati?
They would have to that would be a close game, I think, between Cincinnati and Oklahoma State. Cincinnati would have to falter, though. They're not going to – I don't think that they're going to kick Cincinnati out of the playoff at 12-0. As long as they win in their conference championship next week, I don't see that Cincinnati missing out. It'd have to be like Bama.
Head-to-head. Who do you think is
I think it would be a close matchup. I think that I don't know. That would be a really tough matchup. I think that both of those teams are deserving of the hype that they've gotten. I think I would go with Oklahoma State, but it's real. It would be real close.
This is the land of the Big 12 of robust, unlimited quarterback stats. So I got to come to our quarterback, Kellen. What do you want to add to that?
I think it's cool when we see new teams kind of vie for a spot in the college football playoff. Tired of seeing Oklahoma. Not saying that Oklahoma State wouldn't get blown out by Georgia either, whoever the 4 is. But as far as the game goes, I just think they're 2 solid teams. Not a lot of flash on the side of the Cowboys. More so, obviously Oklahoma is always going to have the better recruits. Not always, but as of right now they are, especially going to the SEC. They're going to keep that. But I think Oklahoma is the better football team. Oklahoma State's been playing better, if that makes sense. So Bedlam is always one of the more underrated rivalry games, and it's probably because it's been one-sided. But we're talking about one-sided rivalries all the time. Ohio State has been one-sided. Alabama, despite the last 2 losing at Auburn, they've pretty much dominated that rivalry since Saban has been there. So we'll see. Hopefully the Cowboys can pull it off. We saw Washington State win the Apple Cup for the first time since like 2012, 2013 last night. So maybe we're seeing some more today.
Well, Oklahoma State's definitely ready to usher Oklahoma out. Don't let the door hit you with a good Lord split you. Mm-hmm. So that's how Oklahoma State definitely feels about Oklahoma leaving the Big 12. Anything you want to add to that, Hunter?
Yeah, we talked about the college football playoff implications. I feel like whoever wins this game, I feel like they have to win out in order to even have a shot at Big 12 representation in the college football playoff, whether it's Oklahoma State or it's Oklahoma. And I'm very curious to see how Caleb Williams looks in this road environment. I know Alec talked about it. Extremely talented quarterback. I'm sure he'll be one of the next great Oklahoma quarterbacks that goes on to the NFL and stuff like that. Hella talented. But I want to see, because he's struggling in some of these road environments, especially against Baylor. Can he bounce back and have a good game? I guess we'll see today.
Yes, we will see today. And, of course, that game is at 7:30 p.m. on ABC. OK State, a 4.5-point favorite. And, of course, we're coming to my game here, of course. I have the Virginia against Virginia Tech game. It's in Charlottesville. That kickoff is at 3:45 p.m. on the ACC network. UVA is a 7-point favorite for this game. And this is a game that the last time that the Hokies were at or in Charlottesville on the grounds there, they actually lost for the first time in 15 years. So this Commonwealth Cup is a real big deal here, just like all the other ugly trophies that these state and rivalry teams play for. But I think the game is going to be a little bit of a surprise for some of the Hokie fans. I'm looking at Virginia to really put it out there. This is possibly, and I'm not sure if it is, but it could be a last hurrah. And I'm just kind of getting rumblings that maybe Brennan Armstrong is possibly looking to hear the right thing from the proper scouts or from a proper team. He may leave. But before we get into UVA, let's talk about Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's quarterback is Braxton Burmeister, dual threat quarterback, has over 400 yards rushing, 1,800 yards passing, 13 touchdowns with 4 interceptions. He's a guy who you can get him off of his square as far as confusing him and they push him into mistakes. But if you don't control him, keep him in the pocket, he'll run you ragged with his feet. He's very fast, very athletic, and can throw the ball down the field as well. But if you get him using his dual threat ability, you're going to have a long day if you're UVA. Also, Raheem Blackshear, the running back at UVA, has 545 yards, 5 TDs. Not the typical Virginia Tech running back. Typically, Virginia Tech's running backs would have more yards. They will be a little bit more of a grinder, a running back who will have more carries, for more yards. But he's what they have right now. And then of course you combine it with Burmeister, kind of stymies and trying to give a better production when it comes to them on the ground. But where they're really special at is their 2 top receivers, which is Trey Turner, who has 40 receptions. These numbers for these receivers don't represent how special they are. Trey Turner, 40 receptions, 675 yards for 3 touchdowns. I think, the bigger story with Virginia Tech is they fired Justin Fuente, their head coach, 2 weeks ago, and they're just trying to pick up the pieces and continue to have a season. And they're trying to become bowl eligible again for 20 years, I believe, 20 plus years they've been bowl eligible. So they are trying to keep that streak alive against their rival, which is very interesting. Also, the other receiver I was talking about is Tavion Robinson. He's 41 receptions for 470 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's a very special player. His numbers do not justify how talented he is, and we'll get a talk about him, I'm sure, next year if when more scouting comes down the line. And then, of course, Virginia Tech is known for their defense, but the defense hasn't been as good as you think it'd be. Dax Hollifield is their best player, 81 tackles, 4.5 sacks, kind of a do-it-all linebacker for them, and their spiritual leader. And then, of course, you got Jermaine Waller, the best defensive back, 4 interceptions, and we'll be checking him out and see how much of a difference he can make against this explosive UVA offense. Now, let's get to the Wahoos. Here on the grounds, you're looking at Brennan Armstrong, top quarterback in yards per game, in college football, has thrown for 4,044 yards, this season, 30 touchdowns, 9 ints. But what's really special about them is Dontavian Wicks, his top target, 54 receptions, 1,148 yards, and 9 touchdowns. The guy is absolutely special, and he's a deep threat. He has all the tools you look for, and he's just a sophomore. He's not even draft eligible. And then you get into his next top target, which is Thomas. Keaton Thompson, 71 receptions, 899 yards, 2 touchdowns receiving. But what really makes him special, he can play all over the field. He plays quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. I mean, the guy's all over the field. And he also has about 400 yards rushing as well, combined with 900 yards receiving. And then, of course, Billy Kemp, who leads the team in reception, one of their slot receivers who is really talented, can really get open, runs great routes, 66 receptions, 623 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And then, of course, the big guy, Jelani Woods, who can come out right now, which he may, at 6'7", 275 pounds, 37 receptions, 7 touchdowns for 534 yards. And that's that offense, explosive offense. Brennan Armstrong coming back and wanting to possibly finish out his career at UVA. If he comes back next year, there's a lot of weaponry still going to be there for him. So there's going to be a microscope on him in these next few weeks to see what he's going to do. If he's going to come back to Charlottesville, or is he going to test his chops on the next level. And also the defense, can't forget about Nick Jackson, 107 tackles for the season, all over the field. And you combine that with Joey Blunt, 77 tackles with 3 interceptions. Their top safety is always a Jekyll and Hyde situation when you're talking about their defense. Got a question for you, Lorenz. Talk to me about Brennan Armstrong now. I mean, he came back from an injury, didn't play against Notre Dame, came back from a rib injury, put up another 400-yard game. How does he rank in the quarterback hierarchy if he came out this year?
Being completely honest, I haven't watched enough of him this year, but just from a general consensus type of view, I think there are the top guys. That's Corral, Pickett. Maybe you could count Strong into that category. Malik Willis was in that category for a little bit. These guys that am I forgetting that someone? I feel like some people see Desmond Ridder up there for example. I think he's below that top
Sam
group
Howell.
of Sam Howell. Yep, who's going to
Hartman.
come out? Who's yeah. I think he's a little bit lower, but Sam Howell definitely. That's an interesting story. We'll talk about when the Senior Bowl comes because apparently he's getting an invite, but he's a third-year junior. But regardless, what I want to say, I think he's more in that range, depending on how much someone likes him in that early day 3, maybe a day 2 type of selection. But I don't think he's up there with the guys that have a chance at the first round. Now, a lot can happen from here till the draft. Maybe he's a super smart guy. Maybe he tests super well. There are other things and like I said, I haven't watched this film from this year yet, so take this with a grain of salt. But I think this is where he's stacking up right now.
Well, I can tell you this. Usually, the consensus is if you don't get a day 1, or excuse me, if you don't get a top 1-2 round grade, you should stay if you're a quarterback. I mean, that's the consensus theory on quarterbacks coming out. If you don't get a grade for rounds 1, 2, not really 3, but you definitely 1, 2, come on out. But usually if you don't get that, you stay. So we'll see. And I agree with you. I don't know. I don't think he's getting, my opinion, I don't think he's getting his just due. And I think that if he comes back next year with all those weapons, he can definitely light it up again, and that'll get him on the radar. Anything you want to add to that, Polito?
No, I think that pretty much sums it up. I think that is where he's looking at right now. So it would probably make more sense for him to come back. There's just too many quarterbacks in that, like, they're not the tier of last year, but there's too many in that like second tier that if he falls into that third tier, it just makes more sense for him to come back.
I'm gonna come to you, Kellen, my quarterback guy, our quarterback guru guy. As far, what do you think? Who plays the position? What do you think?
Yeah, I think they both kind of nailed it. I mean, this quarterback class is not top heavy like we saw last year, but it is deep. There's a lot of guys who have potential backup ability in the NFL, and I think he's one of them. But I do think it serves him better to come back for another year. I mean, you never know what could happen. I mean, guys' stock falls, they rise, with another year. So with him, I just take that chance, come back for another year. I like Lorenz said, I haven't really taken a gander at him. The most we talk about him, or I hear about him, is here on the show. But eventually we'll get to him and we'll break him down one day. Me and Lorenz actually in the film room, we just did an episode on Matt Corral. We watched 2 games for like an hour and a half, 45 minutes. And he actually was the quarterback of our live stream. He took the reins on that one, but it was pretty good.
Very cool, man. Yeah. So, but I'll be there, giving away a Tailgate championship trophy, covering the game. I'll be doing some live streams, so you guys check me out there. But let's move on to the next game. We got my man Hunter Wonderboy Pitcock covering the Wisconsin Badgers against the Minnesota Golden Gophers at 4 p.m. Eastern on Fox with Wisconsin with a 7-point favorite going into this game. Give me your preview on this game, Hunter.
Well, despite the fact that Wisconsin really struggled to start the year, they've been one of the hottest teams in college football. The main reason is how good this defense has been. They have the best run defense in the entire country. They allow just 2 yards per carry, and their pass defense ranks number 1 also in the Big Ten. And they might have a little star in the making here in Braylon Allen. He might be the next great running back to come out of Wisconsin. We see what Jonathan Taylor's doing in the league right now. While he didn't have a great NFL career, Monty Ball was also a complete stud at Wisconsin when he was there. But Braylon Allen is a tank, 6'2", 238 pounds, and he's only a freshman, so he's only going to get better and better. Has over 1,000 rushing yards on the season, 12 touchdowns, averaging over 7 yards a carry, and then 7 straight games with 100 rushing yards, including 228 he put up last week against Northwestern. No, Northwestern is not a good football team, but he did what he had to do. So looking at Minnesota here, they're pretty much going to have to force Graham Mertz to win this game for Wisconsin. And to his credit, I'm someone who's always been really down on Graham Mertz, but he's played really well as of recent, at least for his standards. He's going to have to avoid turning the ball over and making costly mistakes to lose this game. I think that Wisconsin probably wins this one, but you never know. PJ Fleck might have a trick or two up his sleeve. The Gophers are never a team I would ever count out. But we were talking about championships and these rivalry games. They don't fight for a trophy. It's called the Paul Bunyan Axe. I don't have a good picture of it, but this is what they fight for. The winner gets this cool little axe. So,
I hope that thing
it's
is
not that small.
blunted.
But
I hope that
that's
thing is
what they're
blunted.
fighting for in this one, in this rivalry game.
While they swing that thing around, I hope it's blunted.
It looks like it. I think it's wood.
Cut.
I don't think it's that'd be a little dangerous, especially if they rush the field or something like that. That could be a weapon of mass destruction potentially.
Exactly. Talking about holy Viking. But yeah, so let me come to you, Lorenz. So, talk to me about this game. What do you think? Your preview for this game?
Yeah, I think Wisconsin. What you say the line was?
It's 7.
With
Wisconsin.
7. Yeah, I think, man. If I would have made the odds here, I probably could have talked myself into putting this line at 10. But anyways, I think because on the road maybe that's a 3-point swing. But I think this Wisconsin team, what they're doing on defense, I think they got 2 great linebackers. This team is just so fundamentally sound, and I don't think Tanner Morgan has had a good season at all. And I just don't think they are going to be able to put up enough points. And then if you see what Wisconsin is able to do with the run game on the ground, they're not going to score 50, but they might score almost every single drive, especially if they're going to keep the opposing offense off the field. They're going to get some 3 and outs, and that's just a really tough way for a Minnesota team to get into a game with the way that I'm foreseeing it. So I think Wisconsin wins this, and I think they win it by 10. I think they're just really in all phases of the game the better football team.
Yeah,
when they lost quarterback, that's a toss-up.
When they lost, Minnesota lost their running back. It really put a damper on their season. In like the first game of the year, I believe.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to that? Face.
No, this is cold weather rivalry game. Wisconsin was not good. They were not a good football team to start the year. When they lost to Penn State and they lost to Notre Dame, both were very ugly games. Obviously, the Notre Dame game was much more. It was a blowout. But Graham Mertz all he's got to do is just not make too many mistakes, right? And Chaz Malusi was the guy to start the season off, but now Braylon Allen, 17 years old. I don't know. Jonathan Taylor is really making the way for these guys that have carried the ball so much for 3-4 years. A lot of the things on him were there's too much tread on the tires, right? We don't know if he might not make it to a second contract. We don't know what we obviously hope he does. But, I mean, Braylon Allen's going to be right there, 17, carrying the load for the Badgers, probably following in that mold. Melvin Gordon, Monty Ball, like Hunter said, and then obviously, like I just said, Jonathan Taylor. So Wisconsin going to be running the ball. Minnesota, we'll see what they got to do, but I'm going to take the Badgers.
And coming in in the fourth quarter, we're going to kick it to you, Lorenz. We have the Notre Dame Fighting Irish going against Stanford at 8 p.m. on Fox. Notre Dame is a 20.5-point favorite. Give me your preview on this game.
Oh, boy, 20.5. Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame should win this game pretty easily. Stanford, they're not a great football team right now. Notre Dame, they're 10-1. Still got a shot at the college football playoff, depending on how these next games go. They're really really on the outside looking in, just watching the other teams, how they do. I expect Notre Dame to take care of business today, and then they got to hope that someone slips up. But that O-line, and this season, usually for Notre Dame, the big thing that they hang out is O-line, but that's an O-line that has struggled a little bit this season. Running back Kyron Williams, because that hasn't been as productive maybe as people expected. But if you turn on the film, he might be the best running back. That's if he does declare for the draft. In the draft, I love his versatility. He's a former wide receiver. First of all, excellent on third down, not just catching the football, but also blocking. One of the better pass protectors in the entire country at running back. But I think as a runner, he's really developed some more vision and instincts this season, playing behind a worse offensive line, having to make more things happen himself. And I think it's really helped him. It's really helped his draft prospects, and I'm excited to really dive into it once the season's over. The other storyline is Kyle Hamilton's health. I'm not sure what the latest is. Maybe in the last hour there's been an update, whether he's playing or not. I do know that they expect him to play at some point again this season. That was always sort of the line on Kyle Hamilton. Not sure if it's not sure if he's coming back today, but obviously if he is playing, that's a special football player that people are going to get to watch. They tune in 8 p.m. on Fox.
Awesome. So we're getting into our overtime here. So I'm going to bounce it right back to you, Lorenz. Let's talk about our matchups for the week. Let's talk about the matchup for champion. Well, we'll do championship week. I was going to try to do that, but let's just go with rivalry week today. Lorenz, give me your idea of what is the matchup of the week for you.
Yeah, from a scouting perspective, I think it's I'm going to focus in on the Michigan pass rushers because I know Kellen's going to talk about the Ohio State offensive tackles a little bit. But David Ojabo and Aiden Hutchinson have really complemented themselves extremely well with the pure speed and juice and athleticism that Ojabo has with the not calling Hutchinson not athletic, but he's really winning with hand usage, with power. Really, two guys that are fun to watch. They're going to face off against Nicholas Petit-Frere, who is a guy who has struggled with power this season, and then the mammoth mountain of a right tackle, DeJuan Jones. We'll see if he can get out there, if he can stop that outside track rush by Ojabo. It's going to be a big matchup, especially for Michigan, because if they can win this decisively, they're going to have a chance to win this football game.
All right. Very good analysis there. My man, Gerenstein, talk to me, Face. Who is your matchup of the week?
Yeah, just going off and continuing what Lorenz said, I think DeJuan Jones is really not been really tested this year. I mean, Petit-Frere was kind of beaten by Ebiketie from Penn State. That was not a matchup that he won frequently. DeJuan Jones, I feel like, has won more than Petit-Frere has this year, but he's never played a guy like Ojabo. A guy like Ojabo is really going to threaten, like Lorenz said, that outside track. And DeJuan Jones isn't heavy-footed. He's actually pretty quick for a guy his size, but he is going to have to exaggerate getting back, right, getting horizontal. He's not going to be having many jump sets because C.J. Stroud, their drop back passes. There's not a lot of quick game in Ohio State's in their playbook right now. So DeJuan Jones is going to have to hold his water. Ojabo is going to have a lot of inside tracks, outside tracks. He's not going to be able to go through them like he has with a bunch of other tackles. But even if he goes to the other side with Petit-Frere, he's going to be able to win with power. Petit-Frere he's more heavy-footed than DeJuan Jones is, even for a guy who's smaller. But that's the matchup all day. In Ohio State, it just hasn't been said a lot. Their passing attack, it can be credited a lot to having two tackles on each side. Obviously, their they've rotated centers a couple times this year, but I think Luke Whippler is starting today. But Paris Johnson on the right was recruited as a tackle and is probably going to play tackle once one of those guys graduates. And then on the left side, Thayer Munford, who's played tackle for 3-4 years at Ohio State, moved to guard this year. So they've got a bunch of pass-setting guys who have, they can do that. So that's going to be Michigan. Can Michigan win on the edge? Maybe, but can they win in the middle? Can they win on the interior of the trenches? That's going to be just as big because don't forget Trey Henderson is going to be running as well. It's not just all about those receivers. Trey Henderson might be the best back in the country right now.
True freshman as well from
Absolutely.
Virginia, Richmond area, Central Virginia. Great, talented kid. Coming to you, Wonder Boy, Pitcoff. Talk to me. Who and what is your scouting matchup of the week?
Yeah, I'm going to kick it to the West Coast here. Going to go BYU running back Tyler Agier versus USC's linebacker Kenenai Mauga. Now, looking at Mauga, really, really talented player. Awesome athlete, and he's got great motor as well. A lot of fun to watch. He's got 35 tackles over his last 3 games, 79 in the season, so he's playing his best football at the right time. USC's kind of sucked this year, but he's been one of the bright spots. Perhaps he can raise that draft stock a little bit. I think he would be someone who probably does really well in the combine, stuff like that, which scouts love. He'll hit all those numbers. And look at Tyler Agier. I know I've gotten the whole show without giving a cool little fact, so I'll give this one here. Apparently, he was a walk-on at BYU. Entering that summer, he was working at Walmart and just pushing carts around and doing things at Walmart. and apparently he was Ubering there every single day because he did not have a car. He never asked for rides, nothing like that. And he just simply said because that's just who he is. He just wants to earn his stripes. He doesn't like asking for help very much. He's been phenomenal this season. He has over 1,300 rushing yards to complement 18 touchdowns as well. One of the most productive backs, and definitely someone who could declare this year for the draft. If not, he can return next year too because he's only a sophomore on paper.
That's a beautiful thing when you have a humble kid like that. That's just great to hear. Let me hear your scouting matchup of the week, my man Slick Polito. Alec, please.
Yeah, of course. I'm going with Jahan Dotson, the wide receiver from Penn State, against practically no one on that Michigan State defense. Yeah, pretty much just air. But in all jokes aside here, I think in my process when I'm scouting players and especially receivers, I like to watch them go up against a really, really difficult matchup, a matchup that they really should win, and a matchup that's expected to be pretty close. And this is one of those matchups where he should not only be winning 24/7, he should be dominating and putting up ridiculous numbers. You want to see him just take over and be the alpha guy that he's got to be at that receiver position to make a difference in the NFL. So that's my matchup of the week.
My matchup of the week is for Braxton. Right.
Yeah.
My matchup of the week is Braxton Burmeister. Can he exploit the leaky UVA defense? The defense has played better over the last 3 games, but in order for Virginia Tech to have a chance in this game to keep up with that offense that scores 30 points plus a game, Braxton Burmeister has to play one of his best games of his career today. And I'll be interested to see if he can get loose and turn this into a game. Usually, like you said, crazy, wild things happen during rivalry games. And if Braxton Burmeister can do that, look for a wild one on the grounds in Charlottesville, which I'll be there, like I said, so everybody tune in for the live stream. So with that being said, viewers and listeners, this has been it. This has been a wrap-up of Rivalry Week for the NFL Draft Bible Tailgate Show. Make sure you tune in to us next week for Championship Week. This is when you get all of the championships for all the conferences going, and really looking forward to seeing who actually wins, how it all shakes out for this week, and we'll have some games to talk about as well. Anything you want to say in closing, Lorenz?
Absolutely, guys. I got a new TV, so it's going to be first football that's going to be watched on there. Is going to be the game. Wouldn't want it any other way. It's going to be a lot of fun. These games are going to be awesome. I can't wait. Not even an hour to go. I know Kellen. He's been he's been anxious since yesterday, itching and whatnot. But no, it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a much closer game. Hopefully, I don't look stupid for saying that than last week. And massive playoff implications up and down this lineup of games, and then championship week right down the road. I mean, great time to be a football fan, and let's enjoy it.
That's right. Anything you got to say in closing, Gerenstein?
No, the game, it's on. Like I said, 364 days a year. Those guys are looking to today, and it's here. I can't wait.
All right. What about you, Alec?
Yeah, if you are someone who wants to win a ton of money, remember, I have like 5% winning percentage here on games that I've picked. It's really bad, so just pick against whatever I said. I think I picked Oklahoma State today, so it looks like it's a good day for Oklahoma.
Wow. And what about you, Hunter?
Yeah, hopefully Alex right with his scouting matchup of the week. Heisman does his thing, breaks all the Penn State receiving records. He's on the cusp of it right now. Hopefully a big game for him. Gives Penn State fans something to root for this season.
That sounds good. And of course, for me, like I said, I'll be out in Charlottesville doing the game and having a great time. So with that being said, everybody, all you viewers and listeners, we love you guys. Check us out for Championship Week next week. Also, check out the Prospect Prophets. These guys right here, they do a heck of a job on giving us a great job. And, of course, my guy here, check him out as well. He's starting to really get his feet wet. And, of course, my guy right here does a great job as well with Penn State reporting as well. But before we go any further, check us out during the week on next weekend This has been the NFL Draft Bible Tailgate Show. I'm Big Law. This is my panel. We love you. We'll see you next week.